The story begins with a beautiful girl named Casey Beldon, whom we see jogging. While running, she stops at a spot and notices a glove lying there. As she bends to pick it up, she senses someone behind her. Startled, she turns and sees a small, terrifying child standing a short distance away. But in the next moment, the child is replaced by a dog wearing a mask. Casey follows the dog, but after going a short distance, the dog disappears, and she finds the same mask lying on the ground. When Casey picks up the mask, she finds a glass bottle underneath it containing a dead infant. As Casey stares intently at the bottle, the dead baby opens its eyes, which frightens Casey terribly. That night, Casey is talking on the phone with her friend Romy at home. She tells Romy about the horrifying dream, the one we saw at the start of the story, and asks for its meaning. Casey works as a babysitter to earn a living, looking after a 4-year-old boy named Maddie. As the two friends are talking on the phone, Casey hears Maddie's voice. She goes upstairs to check on him and sees Maddie holding a mirror up to his newborn sister. When Casey approaches Maddie, he hits him on the head with the same mirror. He then speaks to Casey in a strange voice saying, "Jumby wants to be born now." Casey is confused and wonders who Jumby is. At this point, we learn that the child from Casey's dream is an evil entity possessed by a dark spirit. Soon after, Maddie's parents arrive and Casey goes to her own home, where she lives with her dad. Her mother had died earlier by suicide. When Casey goes to the bathroom to wash up, she suddenly feels a disturbance in the mirror. She checks the mirror again, but nothing is there. Casey then goes to bed. However, we see the mirror start to shake on its own again. The next morning, Casey is at college talking to her friends about the incident from the night before. Her friend Romy tells her that she read in a book that if a newborn baby is shown a mirror before they turn 1, they will die. Romy believes this, but Casey and her boyfriend Mark are unconvinced. Later in class, Casey suddenly feels dizzy. During this spell, she sees the words, "Jumby wants to be born now," written on the board in front of her. She then sees a bug on her hand and, terrified, rushes out of the class. While taking a shower in the bathroom, Casey is haunted by thoughts of the same initial nightmare. When she gets out, she meets Romy. Romy notices that Casey has 2 different colored eyes and urges her to see a doctor. Subsequently, Casey and Mark visit a doctor. The doctor conducts several tests on Casey's eyes, takes pictures, and asks them to return in a few days for the report. As Casey and Mark are driving home, Casey asks Mark to come over to her house that night, as her dad is out of town and she wants them to spend some beautiful moments together. Just then, the same evil child appears on the road again, only to vanish moments later, leaving Casey slightly disturbed. That night, Casey and Mark are enjoying themselves. Casey shares with Mark the story of her mother, who became mentally unstable and ultimately committed suicide. When Casey goes to the bathroom, the mirror begins to move again, just like before. She opens it, and inside she sees the same evil child in a much more terrifying form. Casey is hysterical and screams. Mark rushes to her side. Casey tells him about the mirror, but when Mark checks it, he finds nothing. Casey then removes the mirror and puts it away in a cupboard. The next morning, while jogging, Casey passes the house where she used to babysit and finds out that Maddie's newborn sister, whom Maddie had shown the mirror, has died. Casey doesn't dwell on this and goes to the doctor for her report. The doctor explains the reason for her 2 different colored eyes, stating that it's nothing to worry about and sometimes happens to twins or could be genetic. Casey insists she doesn't have a twin, but the doctor advises her to speak to her parents. Disturbed by the doctor's mention of twins, Casey goes to her dad for answers. Her dad confirms that she was indeed born a twin, but her twin brother had died at birth. He also reveals that her mom had named her twin brother Jumby. Casey is shocked, having heard that name already from Maddie. Casey returns home and starts looking at her mom's old photographs, where she finds a video cassette. During this search, she also finds information about a woman named Sophie Kotsma, and a photo of Sophie's pregnancy in which the same boy Casey saw in her dream is standing next to Sophie. Casey and Romy then go to meet Sophie. When Casey asks Sophie about her mom, Sophie denies knowing her. When Casey shows Sophie the photo of the boy standing next to her, Sophie becomes very agitated and tells Casey to leave immediately. This further confuses and alarms Casey. Later, Casey and Mark watch the video cassette she found, but it doesn't give them any significant information. Next, Casey goes to a club with her friends to have fun, but even there, she sees the boy trying to scare her. Terrified, Casey rushes into the bathroom and starts vomiting. She hears some noises coming from a small hole in the bathroom wall. When she approaches it, numerous insects start crawling out. Suddenly, hundreds of bugs start emerging from all directions in the bathroom, causing Casey to scream in fear. During this, Casey also sees the spirit of her mother, who seems to be trying to tell her something. Mark and Romy hear her screams and rush in, but when they arrive, Casey sees that the bugs are all gone. That same night, Casey is talking to Romy on a video call about the terrifying incident at the club. Romy dismisses it, suggesting she might have had too much to drink. Romy advises her not to be afraid and to place a pair of scissors under her pillow before sleeping, as her grandmother used to say this wards off spirits. Casey follows her friend's advice and turns off the light to sleep. However, as she sleeps, she has a dream where she wakes up and sees herself floating on the ceiling above her bed while also seeing herself lying on the bed. Frightened, she looks closer and sees the evil spirit lying beside her, which then begins to rip open her stomach with its hands. She screams from above, but then Casey's eyes snap open and she checks her stomach. Just as she wakes up, she receives a call from Sophie, who says she needs to talk to her urgently and asks her to come over immediately. Casey goes to Sophie's place that night. Sophie reveals the truth. "I am your grandmother," and the boy in the photo is none other than her brother Barto, Casey's uncle. Sophie explains that during World War II, doctors were conducting experiments on twin children, resulting in many deaths, including her brother Barto. However, Barto did not die completely because a dark spirit had entered him. This spirit belongs to the mirror world and preys on twins to sustain itself in a living body. Sophie confesses that she killed her own brother because she realized he was possessed by an evil spirit. Although he died, the spirit could not be completely banished from this world, and it was the reason Casey's mother committed suicide. Now, the spirit is after Casey because she is also a twin. Sophie further explains that the spirit needs a lot of time and strength to cross over from the mirror world into this world, and Barto's spirit is still weak, meaning it can be destroyed now. She tells Casey about an ancient book that contains the method to kill the spirit, but Casey won't be able to understand the language. To translate the book, she must go to a man named Rabbi Sendak, who will help her. Sophie also gives Casey a locket and tells her it will always protect her. Casey follows the instructions and takes the ancient book to Rabbi Sendak and asks him to translate it. Rabbi says he knows a little about the book, which deals with spiritual matters, though he isn't a believer. Still, he agrees to read the book to help her. Casey then returns home and, as Sophie advised, breaks all the mirrors in her house, burns them, and buries them, as the spirit uses mirrors to possess and kill people. Meanwhile, Casey's friend Romy is driving to Casey's house when her car is involved in an accident with Maddie. Romy is terrified, but when she gets out, Maddie is unhurt. When she goes near Maddie, he warns her not to help Casey or she will be killed too. Romy is frightened and rushes to Casey, telling her everything. Casey asks Romy to stay away from her, but Romy insists she won't leave her best friend alone in this difficult time. Elsewhere, Sophie is preparing for bed when she hears strange noises. She goes outside to check and sees an old man on the stairs. As she moves closer, the old man transforms into a terrifying ghost that begins to climb the stairs upside down. Sophie is completely petrified and runs back inside, managing to hide in a room. Just then, Barto's spirit appears behind Sophie and kills her. The next day, Casey is heartbroken when she learns about Sophie's death. An old woman comes and gives Casey a letter from Sophie, which instructs her to quickly get the book translated with Rabbi Sendak's help and prepare to destroy the spirit, or else the spirit will slowly eliminate all her loved ones. Meanwhile, Rabbi Sendak is translating the book when he hears strange noises in his house. Upon checking, he sees an upside-down dog that looks very scary. Later, Casey and Romy are talking on a video call when Romy hears her doorbell ring. She goes to check it. Casey sees Barto's spirit reflected in the mirror at Romy's house during the video call, and she realizes the spirit is about to kill Romy. She quickly grabs Mark and rushes to Romy's house. Romy opens the door to find Maddie, who stabs her in the stomach with a knife. Romy is wounded and runs inside, with Maddie chasing her. Just then, Casey and Mark arrive and pull Maddie away. They then realize that the spirit has left Maddie's body and entered Romy's, causing Romy to shake violently and her appearance to change. Casey and Mark take Maddie and flee the scene. The next day, we see Mark, Casey, and Rabbi Sendak together. Rabbi tells them they must perform an exorcism on Casey, and they decide to do it at the place where Casey's mom committed suicide. A priest named Arthur joins them, and Rabbi says Arthur will also help in the ritual. Arthur tells the rabbi that they will perform the exorcism, but they will need at least 10 more people to control the spirit when it manifests, or anything could happen. That night, the group, along with the 10 additional people, goes to the location where Casey's mom died. They make a plan. Rabbi lays Casey down on a stretcher and ties her hands and feet. Rabbi asks the 10 people to form a circle around Casey. Rabbi and Arthur then begin the exorcism, and everyone starts chanting the mantras from the ancient book simultaneously. Casey begins to have visions, and then Barto's spirit appears, causing widespread chaos. Barto starts throwing people away, resulting in horrific deaths of some of the participants. Rabbi continues chanting the mantra, but Barto attacks him, causing the rabbi to fall and become unconscious. In the meantime, Mark frees Casey from the stretcher, and they both start running away. Barto then possesses Arthur, and Arthur starts chasing Casey and Mark. When Casey and Mark hide in a room, Arthur smashes through the wall, grabs Mark from behind, and starts hitting him. When Casey tries to save Mark, Arthur leaves Mark and attacks Casey. Mark then hits Arthur on the head with a stick, knocking him unconscious. However, we now see Barto's spirit leave Arthur's body and begin to possess Mark. Casey sees the horrific change happening to Mark and starts running away. Mark catches up to Casey and tries to choke her to death. Casey then pulls out the locket from around her neck and strikes Mark's throat with it. Mark lets go of her. Just then, Rabbi Sendak arrives chanting the final mantra, and Casey joins him in chanting. Barto's spirit screams horribly and leaves Mark's body, vanishing from the spot. But during the struggle, Mark falls from the ceiling and dies. Casey is devastated and cries over Mark's body. In the final scene, we see Casey, who is now pregnant with Mark's child. The doctor examines her and informs her that she's going to have twins. Casey is terrified and remembers Maddie's words, "Jumby wants to be born now." This indicates that the spirit is now going to be reborn into this world through Casey. And with this, the story ends.